Today, I thought I would bring to you the topic multiple offers. Our spring market in 2023 is offering as many multiple offer situations as it has in the previous few years. Multiple offer situations happen both organically and they are sort of set up by the listing agent, and it can occur either way. And listings oftentimes provide us with information about what the seller is planning to do when they receive multiple offers. Now, sometimes we will log in and look at these listings and there won't be any information. These situations do still happen from time to time where first and fastest is the winner. A strong offer that comes in the early days of a listing might still be the one that is chosen. But a lot of sellers are putting themselves at an advantage by allowing time for there to be multiple offers received on their home. Multiple offers are simply that. It's just more than one offering on their home. Without language in the listing specifying exactly how they are going to handle multiple offers, everything sort of opens up. So we might go and visit a house that doesn't have any terms or conditions around what they will do with multiple offers. It might appear to be a first come, first served situation. We might get in there, we might write an offer and then learn as we're writing it or shortly after we submit it that there are now multiple offers. And in this scenario, the seller will often provide us with language like, "We have now received multiple offers. Therefore, we are asking all parties to submit their last, best, and final offer by X date and time." This happens quite frequently where we submit first, we think we are the primary offer that they have in their hand. Suddenly we learn that there are new offers and they are sending everybody back to the table to draw up their last, best, and final offer. Since we may have submitted our offer first, may not have submitted what we would consider our best offer, we submitted what we felt as the buyer was our most competitive offer. And so therefore, that is our opportunity to say, okay, now there are other parties involved, other offers on the table. Is this truly the best that we've got? And if it's not, then we might decide to change some of the terms of our offer and resubmit it to the sellers before their deadline that they've established. When we learn that we've got additional time and that there are multiple offers on the table, there are all kinds of terms that we could adjust within the offer. Of course, there's price. You can always submit a higher price. We can also implement what's called an escalation clause. An escalation clause would say our offer is X, $200,000, unless you have proof and provide an offer that is higher. If you can provide proof that you have a higher offer, our offer will escalate by $1,000 over and above any other offer that you receive up to our maximum offer of $210,000. That might be what you would include as an escalation clause. A pitfall there to look out for is the seller now knows you're willing to pay $210,000 for this house, and they have every right to simply counter offer back to you and say, okay, we'll take $210,000. They don't have to have another offer in order to counter offer you back at a price that would put you at the maximum or even higher. You are essentially putting all your cards on the table and showing the seller what you would be willing to pay. But the benefit to the buyer is if the seller truly has a higher offer and it's just a little higher and you want to try to beat that offer out, an escalation clause can be a great tactic for you as a buyer to use to edge somebody else out. You might also look at adjusting the terms of your offer when it comes to the closing timeline. Oftentimes I will call the listing agent and ask them what would be the best timeline for your client so that without changing any dollars and cents in the offer, we can actually provide a timeline that really works well for the seller. And sometimes that can edge you out over other offers. They may need a particularly long or particularly short timeline. They may need to have possession of the house for a number of days after the closing takes place. Those are the kinds of things that we as a buyer can offer that wouldn't necessarily cost you anything, but might be able to edge out an offer that can't meet the seller's timeline. We will also look at offering things like amending the inspection timeline, amending what we're going to ask the seller to do or not do as a result of the home inspection. You might add some what we call gap coverage. In the car industry, we have gap insurance to cover the difference in the value of your car when you drive it off the lot. In home buying, we look at gap coverage as being the gap that the buyer is willing to pay should the property appraise for less than the contract price. But there's a whole library of different opportunities and options that we can include into your offer offer that might make it more attractive or more appealing when we talk about a multiple offer situation. It's very important that we as real estate agents are in constant communication with the sellers and their agent to make sure that we are getting together the best offer that they would possibly be looking for with price, but with all of those other terms and conditions as well to make you as strong a position as possible. I often ask my buyers in this situation, we're going to be in multiple offers with this house on a scale of, 1 to 10, 1 being, let's toss our hat in the ring, maybe we'll get it, to 10 being, we cannot lose this house. We have to own this house. Where do you fall on that spectrum? Because that can help us decide how many of these different tactics we need to include in your offer to make it the best possible. If you're a 1 and you feel like, I'd love to have this house if I was able to get it for this price and able to get it on my terms, then sure, let's toss in an offer and see what happens. Maybe we'll get it. That's sort of a 1 versus a 10 being, I want to beat out every other offer. I will do whatever it takes. I don't care what we have to do. I need this house. And then we sort of throw in everything but the kitchen sink to get this offer through. I tell my buyers all the time, at some point, somebody is going to be motivated enough to do better. It is very likely that there is someone out there that has a reason, a motivation behind why they're willing to pay an extreme amount. And that amount might be extreme to you, but it's what they're willing to pay. And so at some point we have to draw a line in the sand, right? Because at some point that situation that other buyer has isn't motivation enough for you to meet their price. Ultimately, that's where you get ridiculously escalated prices that the neighborhood doesn't support, that may cause a new homeowner to end up underwater, upside down in this investment. And that's not what anybody wants to happen. So we're not talking about a bidding war here. We're talking about a multiple offer situation. And a multiple offer situation allows you to put forth your best and final offer and to simply draw that line in the sand and say this amount and not a penny more. And if someone else is willing to pay more than that, let them have it. And so we're not bidding back and forth. There's no discussion with any of the other interested buyers in the property. We don't meet them. We don't know who they are. We don't talk to them, and we don't know what their offer looks like. If our best isn't good enough, then we know that someone else is willing to make an offer because they have extenuating circumstances or deeper pockets or whatever it may be that is causing them to be willing to pay more. What I also don't want is I don't want a buyer coming back and saying, man, I wish we had only offered, $1,000 more and we would have gotten it. I don't want anyone to be upset or sad because they lost out on something if they had been willing to do it. So we really have this conversation in depth during the offer writing process to really figure out where that line is for you. Does it seem logical that you would pay $15,000 over asking, $215,000 for this house? Or does that seem like that's too extreme for you, and we sort of finagle that sweet spot so that, when you get the house, you just paid enough to get it. And if you don't get the house, that someone was willing to do a lot more than you were willing to do. Now, in addition, we're going to, of course, look at what the neighborhood supports, what the comps in the area that have sold recently. I always want to take into consideration what everything is selling around, because the last thing that I want for my buyers is for them to be house poor or upside down or in an overinflated value of a property. We have to take that consideration. We have to take the seller's needs into consideration, and we have to take the market into consideration. Does this neighborhood tend to be moving up and up and up? In that case, it might be the most expensive house in the neighborhood today, but it might not be the most expensive house in the neighborhood 30 days from now as things in this neighborhood continue to rise. The fact of the matter is, today in 2023, as it has been for the last several years, we are in a seller's market, and the seller is able to dictate these terms because for the vast majority of homes, they are still very much in high demand, with more buyers in the market than we have houses on the market to sell. Shortage of inventory is driving the market. I think the expectation in the market in general is that we will start to see interest rates fall over the course of the summer of 2023. And as interest rates fall, if that does come to fruition, that's going to drive more buyers back out into the marketplace and may continue to create multiple offer situations for the rest of the year. year. The competition is potentially going to become fierce as we move into the summer and fall. You've got appreciating assets, shrinking inventory, and potentially decreasing interest rates coming for the rest of 2023. And so therefore, the best time to buy is now. If you want to have a conversation in Louisville, you're feel free to reach out to us at the Symphony Group. We would love to help you. And in other markets, we would love to help you identify an agent in your area that can help you really write a really strong offer and beat out other offers in a multiple offer situation. For more content like this, please like and subscribe to our channel, the Symphony Group.